welcome back to the inside of my head, where lately I've been looking at the Monsterverse movies. And it's finally time for the head honcho, the pinnacle of the peak, the main event, the climax of the whole shebang, Godzilla versus Kong! Let's get ready to rumble! Let's just start out by saying that for me, as someone who is principally here for big monster showdowns, I was not disappointed at all the first time I watched this movie. Did it surpass my expectations? No, it was pretty much what I expected it to be. And what I expected it to be was somewhere in the ballpark of King of the Monsters, that kind of level. I mean, I was hoping for a little improvement on that, but I was pretty sure it would be something that had the same strong points and the same issues. So a series of very cool set pieces strung together by the usual shenanigans of a bunch of bland, boring planks. The exact formula we've had for 3 movies now. So I don't feel like I can criticize it for being what it was always going to be, like some reviewers have. Like, you can't criticize a dog for having 4 legs and a tail. If that dog tried to be more than that, you know, if it put on a leather jacket and took your girlfriend nightclubbing, then you could be like, Shirley, not again! Why do you keep doing this to me, Shirley? But anyway, just because I enjoy GBK does not mean that it doesn't have its flaws. And this franchise, as much as I love it, we all have to admit it has as many flaws as that fucking big building in Abu Dhabi. What's it fucking called again? My lack of knowledge has ruined my joke. Is it called the Wiz Khalifa? The Wiz Khalifa's that guy with the black and yellow. This franchise has as many flaws as the Burj Khalifa. So let's do a quick recap. And of course, as I'm going to get into some detail here, there will be spoilers. There's not a lot of massive plot stuff to be spoiled, to be fair. You know it all already. So Monarch have rigged up this huge containment center around Skull Island to keep Kong and Godzilla separated. He's generally got bigger and badder and he's grown a full Spartan beard. Look at him. He lives there with Gia, a girl orphaned when the storm around Skull Island engulfed the whole place and killed the tribe of indigenous iwis, including her parents. Kong saved her from the storm, and the two bonded as orphans. Why he chose her, I don't know. I'm guessing it was just some kind of fluke of time and place because, I mean, there must have been tons of kids, like, fleeing, screaming for their deaths, right? Oh, the storm, please help me, giant gorilla. No, not you. Not you. Not you. Oh, there's one I like. I'm going to take that one. Like a fucking kid choosing a puppy in a puppy store, except the puppies that didn't get picked, they get crushed by falling trees and zapped by lightning and blown away by hurricane-force winds. Then there's this whistleblower conspiracy theorist guy who works for this shady tech company called Apex, and he's busy stealing their secrets when Godzilla attacks, going directly after that exact facility. This guy uses the situation to get into some restricted area where he sees like a glowing sphere. Like, to me, it looked like a giant robotic eyeball type thing. So, sus, Apex, what are you up to? Like we don't know already. We've seen the trailers, we've seen the leaks, we know. It's a fucking eyeball from mechagodzilla. Or maybe not an eyeball, maybe bloop, bloop, bloop. Maybe there's another giant one in the next room. And maybe the whole floor above is like Sausage Lab. Does mechagodzilla have some downstairs stuff? I mean, I didn't notice. Apex have realized that there's some sort of energy source in the Hollow Earth and call in Alexander Skarsgård, who writes books on the subject, to help find it. He tells them that many creatures have genetic memory and this inbuilt calling to do certain things, like go back to their evolutionary source, like salmon swimming upstream. And he suggests that he rope his friend in, Rebecca Hall, whose character name I forget, to get Kong to lead them to this energy source. To me, that's a pretty big assumption that Kong's ancestral home that he would be migrating back to and the source of the energy is the same place. But whatever. Now, the reason that no one's been down to the Hollow Earth before is because of the immense gravitational forces at play, something that actually killed Alexander Skarsgård's brother. Now, apparently that's not a problem anymore because Apex have developed an anti-gravitational ship called the Heave. Yeah, you heard me right. It's called the That's what they called it. No, really, the Heave is HEAV, which I think stands for Hollow Earth Aerial Vehicle, I think, if I remember right. And imagine one of those flying Blade Runner cars with like Tron lights on it, and it's got this glowing sort of energy force. Like, the technology in this movie has gone absolutely ballistic. Like, considering they've never been down to the Hollow Earth, how have they mastered gravity like this? The only conceivable, feasible, possible answer that I can think of is who gives a shit, no one gives a fuck. So Skarsgård goes to visit Jerry Hall, and she's too busy digging gold out of this old billionaire. Wait, what? So Skarsgård goes to see Rebecca Hall, and she's like, yeah, alright, fine, whatever, you can borrow my monkey. So they pump Kong full of opioids or whatever, and they zonk him out, and they load him up onto a ship. The idea here is that they've built this big, huge tunnel down to the hollow Earth in Antarctica, and they've got to get Kong there. This was a bit confusing to me, because I thought that Alexander Skarsgård in an earlier scene said Skull Island was hollow Earth that's come to this surface, and he does this weird thing with his hands. Like, what does that mean? What are you trying to do? And Jerry Hall even gives him this look like, what is it you're doing here, buddy? So I thought that what he was saying here was that Skull Island is the entrance to hollow Earth, but I mean, I guess obviously not. So anyway, regardless, we're halfway to Antarctica when guess who's back? And it's a very, very cool fight. But again, the best bits are all in the trailer, so maybe I was a little bit underwhelmed by this. I was also missing the big sort of build-up and the big Godzilla entrance. You know, like in the first movie, there was all those planes exploding in the airport, and then you saw him step into frame, and then the camera kind of slowly goes up to reveal his face, and then he roars. You know, it's not really the same. Like, he does get an entrance, but it's not quite up to par. But the really big thing about this part of the movie is that you realize that this is Kong's movie. Like here, you've got Kong lying chained to a boat. He's been uprooted from his home, kidnapped essentially. He's doped up to the eyeballs. And then there's this big, giant, murderous nuclear lizard either coming to bully him into submission or eat him. So he really feels like a lamb being led to the slaughter. And as a big Jimmy Z fan, as you guys all know that I am, you're making this guy pull all the heartstrings, so my guy is looking like the aggressor. Again, the trailers laid this all absolutely bare, so it wasn't a surprise, but I still feel a bit like, I feel like some of the mythos has gone from the Godzilla character here. But anyway, I'll come back to all this in my thoughts at the end of the video. There was one part that I thought was too far in this sequence though, when Kong is jumping from aircraft carrier to aircraft carrier type thing to try and follow Godzilla. I didn't really buy that. But there was all this cool bit where Godzilla was grabbing Kong and dragging him down, and then Kong was obviously struggling to the surface because, you know, he can't breathe underwater like Zilla can. So Godzilla was grabbing him and dragging him further and further and further, and gradually he was drowning. And then the humans had to use depth charges to disorient Zilla and then let him float up to the surface. So anyway, Kong gets up to the surface, he clambers back onto the boat, and then he passes out. And then all the humans shut down all that technology, and with Kong passed out, Godzilla takes that as a sign of submission. No safe words for you. And then he wanders off. It's pretty smart of Godzilla though, because, I mean, could you tell the difference between an aircraft carrier that was powered up and one that was powered down? I couldn't. Can Godzilla sense the energy, like, radiating from these things? And that's how he can tell that they've shut down? I don't know. I mean, does it? I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, it's the lights. When they turn the lights off, that's how he knows it's shut down. Oh, duh. Sorry, I didn't get that.
Idiot.
So they helicopter Kong to the Arctic in a big net. And with half their fleet destroyed, there's no way back for the big guy. So it's either go down the tunnel, big fella, or become a giant furry popsicle. So they get in 3 heaves, or as I like to call them, head off to Hollow Earth, and things go a bit 2001 Space Odyssey for a minute. I'm sorry, Dave, but this is getting more and more ridiculous. But I love it! Before they come out the other side and they arrive in, like, the Earth within the Earth. So it's basically just a big jungle with mountains in the sky. That's basically all it is. And there's a couple of things I don't understand here. Like, it looks like broad daylight. How do you explain that? Where does the light come from? There's not really any mention of any extra heat down there. What the fuck? There's no mention, as far as I'm aware, of any extra radiation down there. And remember that the radiation is the reason that these creatures grow so big in the first place. And as the Earth's surface got less radioactive, they went deeper to be closer to the Earth's core where it was more radioactive. And at one point, some of these characters get out of the heaves and just walk around without any radiation suits or anything. So, and you know what? These aren't really criticisms. They're just more sort of like general questions. I enjoyed this movie to the point where I don't really care. They're just a few things that stood out to me. So anyway, as soon as we arrive, pretty much we're attacked by these 2 warbats. And these are like these flying snake things. And the design of these creatures is awesome. I love the way they look. Kong kills one of them really quite easily and quite quickly, and then he gets smothered by the other one, and he's about to be choked out when the humans help him out with a few missiles, and then he rips the thing's head off and then eats its brain out. And you know, I thought it was really good that there was a few of these moments where you're really reminded that he is just a big savage barbarian beast, you know, because at other times you really do feel like he's a little too human. Like he can communicate now, like he can do sign language and stuff. Like he walks upright a couple of times, and I thought, like pretty much the first thing you see is him taking a shower under a waterfall. No, but thanks for being so considerate with your personal hygiene there, Kong. A part of me is surprised that the next scene wasn't him doing a little bit of downstairs manscaping and trimming his fucking Spartan beard, you know? We get a glimpse of a couple more Titan-like beasts as Kong is running across the landscape. These like crab-like, tick-like insect things, and one of them is instantly eaten by this giant iguana thing. You know what though, they're only in it for a couple of seconds, so there's no real need for me to spend any time on them. Anyway, Kong finds his ancestral home, and it's like this big sort of cavernous cavern, and he sits on the throne and he finds this axe, like embedded in the skull of the last Godzilla beast who pissed off the Kongs. Or is it a skullcrawler? I'm not sure. Anyway, throughout the Hollow Earth, you see these like veins of energy running through the rocks and the scenery and all sorts. Kind of the same way that Godzilla has it, you know, running up his spine when he does his atomic breath. So Kong uses his axe like as a key to activate this whole place, and loads of these glowing veins sort of start spreading all over the place, and the energy source kind of comes to life. And there's even a Godzilla skeleton that lights up in the floor around him. So at first I wondered, is all this energy coming from that one skeleton? And I thought, no, that can't be right. And wait, hold up a second. Maybe that's not such a stupid theory after all. I mean, if you look at the size of Kong, remember that Kong and our Godzilla are roughly sort of the same size? How much bigger is this guy embedded in the floor? Could he be powering the whole place? Probably not. But there's definitely some kind of link between Godzilla's energy and the energy of Hollow Earth. Is it that Godzilla is channeling the energy of Hollow Earth? That would probably be the most logical assumption, yeah. Or could it be that Hollow Earth is getting its energy from Godzilla? Probably not. It's more likely that it's all just one ecosystem and you can't have one without the other. I mean, which is an interesting theory, because what if something happened to Godzilla? Like if he actually did die, maybe the whole of Hollow Earth would die as well. Anyway, now that the energy source that everyone was looking for has activated itself, the Apex guys turn evil, they get a sample of it, and then they betray everybody. They try to escape, but Kong grabs the ship that they're trying to escape in and crushes it. Anyway, in the meantime, Team SideQuest have taken the train from, where was it they were? Pensacola? To Hong Kong. Yeah, there's an anti-gravity train that takes them all the way there now. Like I said, the technology in this movie is beyond ridiculous now. I mean, whatever. And I know it's explained in here that, you know, that Apex and companies like it have ramped up technological development in the wake of the Ghidorah attack. But still, I mean, is it really possible that they've taken it to these levels in such a short space of time? Really? But again, don't really care. Team SideQuest arrive at the base in Hong Kong, and they find that Apex has been breeding or cloning skullcrawlers. Why? Because they're using them as test subjects to test this guy on. That's right, here he is, finally, mechagodzilla. Looks a little goofy to me, but, you know, I guess that's part of his charm, I suppose. And when I say charm, I mean, like, you know, crazy, psychotic, genocidal, robo-lizard beast charm. So the skullcrawler is released, and then mechagodzilla grabs it and then cuts it from head to tail with its laser version of Godzilla's atomic breath. I would kind of feel bad for the skullcrawler here, like, it is so totally outmatched that it's almost not even funny. Anyway, here's where the villains explain their plot. This guy wants humans to be the apex predators on planet Earth again. So he hired Rei Surisawa, this guy's son, to develop and pilot mechagodzilla. They do this by using this. Yep, it's the Ghidorah head that Charles Dance bought at the end of King of the Monsters. And where is that cold-hearted bastard anyway? I love that guy. Anyway, the story goes that because Ghidorah's necks were so long, the three heads communicated with each other telepathically, and they've somehow tapped into this to control mechagodzilla. So Rei goes in and sits in the skull and puts on this headset, and his eyes turn white, and boom, he's in the drift. If you want to draw a comparison with Pacific Rim. Now, as I've said, I need to see this movie again because I don't remember any explanation for why this guy is doing what he's doing. Was he just jealous because Daddy gave Jimmy Z all of the attention over the years? I'm guessing he blames Jimmy Z for the death of his father and he's on a quest for revenge. But again, I missed that and it must be in here somewhere, right? Anyway, this is why Godzilla has been attacking the cities, and this latest Mechagodzilla test draws him to Hong Kong again. And on that cliffhanger, guys, I'm going to cut the video in half. I hate having to do this, but the reason I do it is A, because then I can get the first part out a little earlier, and B, I'm a little bit worried that people aren't going to have the attention spans for a full, 20 or 30 minute video, which is what this would end up being. Anyway, in the next part, I'm going to finish the recap. I'm going to talk about how it stacks up against my expectations. I'm going to talk about how it stacks up against the immense hype that was around. I'm going to talk about how it stacks up against the other movies from the Monsterverse. And I might even have a glance at some of the other reviews out there and see how they line up with my own thoughts. So guys, while you're waiting for the next part, please do check out my Kong Skull Island review. I know that all the buzz is about GVK right now, but it would be a real shame if that one got lost in the mix. So guys, I will see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and cheerio, bye!